And welcome back to Your Money Talks with me, Jerry Slusiewicz. Talking about money in the markets, talking about stocks and bonds, we're talking about mortgages, real estate, interest rates. We're talking about the government. We're in day 9 of the shutdown here, Wednesday, October 9th. Just been incredible. The market's finally showing some signs of capitulation. I know we've been down 11 of the last 14 days, so to say that we're finally showing signs of capitulation is a little funny since we've been down so much. But yesterday was a pretty deep sell-off for the stock market, and we don't see really any resolution coming either way. Today we have Steve Parkhurst. He's a political consultant who's devised a strategy and worked on campaigns ranging from city council to judges to Congress. He's got a website, gphconsulting.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Steve Parkhurst. Steve, welcome to Your Money Talks.
Thank you, Jerry. It's great to be with you.
So you're a political consultant. I think that's what they need in Washington is a little consulting right now. People are starting to get a little nervous about this. What do you see as the main issue? Is it the debt ceiling that's coming up? Is it taxes? Is it budget? Or is it Obamacare? What do you think here, Steve?
Well, it's a combination of everything. Everything kind of seems to feed everything else. So Obamacare is one of the issues, and the debt ceiling is the next issue. One of the real big issues I see right now is a president who is saying he won't negotiate, and he's living up to that at this point, and that's making it real tough for anybody to get anything done. When you have somebody that starts a phone call like he did last week and says, "I will not negotiate," that makes it really, really tough to get anything done.
Yeah, but again, it's fairly acrimonious on both sides. I mean, you've got it almost seems like the far-reaching factions, the far right and the far left, are almost dictating this debate. Do you see it that way, Steve?
Yeah, you really can say that because both. But when you talk about far on either side, you're talking about those are typically your activist bases, whereas the people in the middle are the people who are just kind of the go along, get along. They're kind of the deal makers in the background. So in this case, it might be you're always going to have those deal makers in the middle. So it's going to be which side blinks first. Is it going to be the far right or the far left? If you want to get into that part of it. So yeah, I agree with you.
Well, okay, so it started off, it seemed like, with this, there's two issues, as I'm sure you know, Steve, but I mean everybody, for our listeners out there, is there's the budget, which is annually starting October 1st, and then there's this debt ceiling, which is what we're bumping against, where the government's going to run out of money. It just so happens that this time they're running in at the same time. The budget ran out on October 1st, and this debt ceiling supposedly is October 17th. Treasury Secretary Jacob Lew is going to speak today. He's going to testify before Congress today to kind of more define that date when we will run out of money. But it seemed like this budget crisis, the first one that happened, was more about Obamacare, and you had different people kind of doing filibusters, et cetera, trying to stop that Obamacare. Should it be stopped? Why should it be stopped? What's your feeling on this, Steve?
Well, if nothing else, it should be delayed at this point, and everybody should kind of be pretty much on a level playing field. What the Obama administration did was they came in around the July 4th holiday when nobody was paying attention, and they basically gave waivers to businesses, and they said, we're not going to have you implement Obamacare fully for your business. You're not going to be penalized until after, basically after the after the November midterms of 2014. So they pushed everything off to January 2015. And then they started to go in, and Congress and their staff now, this happened just in the last couple months, where all of a sudden they got a break from it. They're going to be subsidized at about 75% of their health care through Obamacare, which is really insane when you think about what the average family is going to have to pay. It's insane. The people that are working for congressmen and congressional members themselves are going to be getting basically taxpayer subsidized health care. So there's so many issues with this that came to a head at one time, and basically what the Republicans came down to, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, what they want is they want a level playing field, and so they're coming in and they're saying, look, let's delay this, let's make it the same for everybody. You've rewarded a few people here, but let's make it fair for everybody. If there's people who have been pushed off to the point to where they don't have to, they're not going to be forced to buy insurance until January 1st, 2015, then let's make that for everybody, not just for a select few. So in that sense, I mean, this was a totally worthwhile debate, and it just, the timing is fortuitous in the sense that you have the debt ceiling coming up at the same time, but that's sometimes you can't create the calendar. You just go with what you got.
Yeah, we'll listen to Your Money Talks. We'll be Jerry Slusiewicz. We have Steve Parkhurst. He's a political consultant talking about this debt ceiling debate, talking about the budget, and talking a little bit about Obamacare as well. On that subject real quick, I actually agree with you. I do recall during the summer when they delayed it for businesses, those employees with 50 people on up for at least a year until after the midterm elections, and I thought that meant the whole thing was delayed, only to find out later that no, it wasn't. And so it's for the individuals the mandate that now Obamacare has to be implemented. And so far it looks like I don't know if you're following this, Steve, but the early indications is that it's more expensive for people than they thought, and the systems are a little bit screwed up. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing in terms of the what's available, how it's working, and it's a real small percentage of people that are interested, that are actually getting through and signed up for the program. Do you have any facts on that?
Yeah, it's proving to be a complete nightmare. There was actually a very interesting article in the I believe it was San Jose Mercury News within the last couple days. It was early this week, and it talked to they went and they found two Obama voters, people who had voted for Obama both elections, 2008, 2012. And they agreed that one guy, the quote is absolutely hysterical, but it's typical of what was expected. One guy, so he says he voted for Obama twice. He said, the quote was basically, I believe that everybody should have health care. I just didn't think I was going to have to be the one who was going to pay for it. And there was a whole lot of that going on in those two elections for President Obama, where it was always going to be about somebody else picking up the bill for what should be everybody's responsibility as far as getting their own health care. So, yes, to answer your question, they went through, there are just, you can do a Google search. Just do a Google search on Obamacare, and you're going to find every single day brand new instances of people who are getting sticker shock. There are states who are not dealing with certain insurance companies right now, like Aetna, Blue State Blue Shield. I mean, they're to the point where they're just not dealing with certain states because the rates are too high. And, the sticker shock is incredible. People are, if you're just on Twitter or Facebook a little bit, people are posting regularly letters that they're getting from their carriers that are saying, your monthly rate is going to go up from $223 a month to $760 a month. It is, there is literally nothing about what we're seeing right now that sounds anything like what was actually promised.
Well, there's been a lot of gyrations in there, Steve. The healthcare companies have done really well, and the biotech companies. I bought the XLV, the Spider Healthcare Exchange Traded Fund, the same week. I think within days of the Supreme Court decision, the surprise Justice Roberts deciding in favor of having the Obamacare come in, because healthcare stocks have done well. Now, I don't own it today. XLV, I want to make it clear, it's the old buy on rumor, sell on news. But for the last couple of years, healthcare stocks have done it well, and I still own the biotech sector, IBB. There was a lot of people saying that they won't do well, but those companies have done well because they're going to make more money. I mean, kind of as you're alluding to, someone's going to pay for this. Now, one of the things I heard from a political point of view, I was reading, that said, if the Republicans are so opposed to Obamacare and if it's so screwed up, why don't they just let it be implemented, and it's going to be such a disaster that it'll really help them in the midterm elections? What is your answer to that?
The simple answer is that, you certainly could do that. The problem is with that strategy is that you can't, I don't think the disaster is going to happen soon enough in the sense of an electoral calendar, meaning, basically about a year from now. I mean, we've got midterms that are about a year away. So I just don't think that you can implement it and just let it go and have the full negative results. Yes, there's going to be bad results, but it's going to take years to kind of see what all is going to take place with this thing. And then the second thing is is I think Republicans, just in their nature, are just why inflict something bad on people that you know is going to be bad? I mean, just in this case, stand in the way and try to do your best to stop it, or at least slow it down, and see if you can make it better along the way.
I mean, I'm a fiscal conservative, so I hate to see things, cost people more money. And again, I'm fairly astute to what's going on here with this thing. But there are a couple of parts of the program that I thought made some sense in terms of, existing conditions, pre-existing conditions. Someone changes companies from one to another. Maybe they're in their mid-40s, mid-50s, and they've been, diagnosed with something, or this, allowing the children to be covered by their parents for a little bit longer period of time, especially, with so many of the millennials not finding work in this, tough economy. I mean, is there anything that you find good about the Obamacare bill?
No, I don't find anything good about it. It's not free market centered. It's not. There's too much choice that's taken out of it. And there's absolutely nothing I like about it.
All right. Well, I guess that's pretty clear. So we've got this debt ceiling also coming up, and that's where the government's going to potentially run out of money to pay their bills. I mean, they pay Social Security, they got to pay Medicare, Medicaid, they've got to pay the military, the Homeland Security folks. I mean, and then obviously they got to pay the interest on their Treasury debt. What do you see happening there? I mean, we're on the 9th. They're saying the 17th. I guess we'll know a little bit later today. We got about 8 days left. Do you think cooler heads will prevail? Do you think that they'll be able to work this thing out, Steve?
Ultimately, I do think something will be worked out. I don't actually see us going into default and just defaulting altogether on the debt. So I do think something's going to come up. At this point, I could not tell you which side is going to blink first. Like I said earlier, Obama is not willing to negotiate any of this, and the Republicans, I think, are content to say, look, we've got to rein spending in. Conservatives and Republicans are looking at numbers. For instance, numbers such as 2012. I think the average American taxpayer was on the hook for about $111,000 worth of tax debt. Yet the average income in America was only about $51,000. So that means if you had a home mortgage and you were in that situation, that would be awful. It would be literally the worst situation you could find yourself in. I see the Republicans standing strong for at least quite a while, and I think the Republicans are going to try to get more out of this than they ever got out of the sequester, or more than they got out of the 2011 deal, which is to say, the spending cuts, if it's going to be like dropping a penny into the Grand Canyon, we can't get along with this sort of thing. There has to be serious cuts. There has to be serious cuts to spending, because what's going to happen is we're going to continue to have this debate. Literally, at this point, it seems like it happens every year, but right now it's happening about every other year. And again, somebody's going to blink. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but obviously something's got to be done.
Well, you brought up a good point, Steve, about the last time. And I am a pretty good historian in terms of remembering who said what to whom. We would go right up to the 11th hour, the last day, the 11th hour, 11 p.m., and they came up with a negotiation on the $2.4 trillion debt ceiling raise last time. And what was promised. It was promised that there was going to be $2.4 trillion in deficit reduction over the 2+ years that we've had since the last time. And that was supposed to be the Simpson Bowles, the Alan Simpson Erskine Bowles, bipartisan committee of, cutting $2.4 trillion by Thanksgiving, coming up with a plan of 2011. They did. It was rejected. Then there was supposed to be the sequester that was supposed to equal that. That was only maybe $600-700 billion of the $2.4 trillion. So there was a promise that we wouldn't raise it. So the problem we have is they keep raising this debt ceiling with no accountability. And again, we got about a minute left. I know that there's something that you have got to say about this accountability, and that's what we need going forward, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, just like I said, if we're going to keep spending, if government is going to continue to live at the expense of the people, there's got to be some cuts, because again, at some point, like I said, if you've got every taxpayer on the hook for $110,000, $111,000, but yet they're only earning $51,000 a year, that's just not that's not sustainable. That's not a formula that's going to work long term. And we've got Obviously, the healthcare issue, Obamacare, people are having to start to pay for more for that. So, I mean, you're talking about money that's going. It's not necessarily going out of the economy because obviously you're spending the money with the health companies here in America, but you're talking about people with less disposable income. And at some point, the government needs to start looking at themselves and start saying, look, maybe we need less disposable income as well. And maybe it's not an income issue, but seriously a spending issue. And so I think that's. They kind of keep going at it as they say, well, okay, let's start with what's coming in or what we're going to spend, and I think they need to go about it the other way around and say let's look at what's coming in and spend within our means, but look at spending first rather than looking at it last.
Kind of like our household. Hey, Steve, thanks for joining us here at Your Money Talks. So you can follow Steve at gph-consulting.com or on Twitter at Steve Parkhurst. Steve, thanks again for being with us.
You bet. I enjoyed it. Thanks, Jerry.
All right. You listen to Your Money Talks. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing, you choose free. Nothing working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a pistol on your little finger. Baby, get a blister on your thumb.